Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to New Right Network tonight. Your host, Brian Smith and
Kerry Smith.
Back in studio together again. Giving you the real news, exposing the fake news every single day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And as we were doing show notes and just kind of chit-chatting back and forth, you said Rush Limbaugh.
Well, how CNN is lying about the economy, or they've been forced to tell the truth with their own polling.
Yes.
And I just, it's interesting. It's important that everybody knows on a daily basis that we do have an awesome economy and that unemployment is interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of this. I didn't ever think I'd ever see this, but apparently there are more job openings out there than there are unemployed people by a factor of about 1 million.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
That means that if every single person on earth who's on unemployment decided to take a job today, we'd still be 1 million short.
That's crazy. Yeah. Wow. So we wouldn't get this news if Donald Trump didn't tweet it out. And apparently he's tweeting out all the time. And I absolutely love it. Anybody who complains about Donald Trump tweeting, I wish he wouldn't tweet so much. Apparently you don't read his tweets because all of his tweets are awesome. He's tweeting out about the economy, about the GDP growth. He tweeted this out: GDP growth during the fourth quarter of 2018, fastest since 2005. This administration is the first on record to have experienced economic growth that meets or exceeds its own forecast in each of the first 2 years in office. Growth is beating market expectations.
I was trying to light myself on fire.
Why were you
as an act of protest? As an act of protest.
Protesting what?
Protesting the fact that we've elected somebody who is completely incapable of respecting the Constitution of the United States.
Thank you, Trump, for letting us know that, because I don't know if we're going to hear it anywhere else. And again, folks, we got a lot of breaking news tonight. If you've seen the title of the show, yes, this Cohen thing has absolutely exploded. We're going to get into details of that. But before we do that, we got to do some house cleaning, folks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got to do some house cleaning. Fox News, you have become...
We're worried about it.
Because the owners, yes, the Murdochs, I mean, they're liberals.
It's all about the uniparty.
Right.
Yes, they are the channel of the Bushes. If you're old enough to remember or were paying attention during the Bush administration, they were very pro-Republican as it seemed, and we had George W. Bush as president, and they gushed over him, and it was fun to watch because I was supporting of anything right wing, and opposed to anything left wing. So it was a lot of fun. But, we're dealing in a completely different situation now where Trump doesn't 100% adhere to the exact ideology of what would be considered establishment Republican, which is why the Bushes hate him. And we're finally starting to see some cracks in Fox News. And it started with Bill O'Reilly getting fired. And then them keeping Shep Smith and just loving
Shep Smith. Shep Smith has to come out and let everybody know that he's a gay man and a gay journalist. And the fact that we need to know his sexual orientation, it lets you know that he's a liberal at mind.
A lot of people may not know this, but when we go to a lot of these MAGA meetups, you find out after the fact that there's a surprising following of gay people, the gay community, of Donald Trump. And they come to these events and they're activists and all this. But you notice the big difference. They don't wear their sexuality on their sleeve. So when you see that, tend to be a good guess that they would be liberal.
Right. They're not trying to hit on you. They're not trying to talk about sex, and it's all about sex and my sexual orientation.
It's not their defining characteristic.
Correct.
So there's that.
No, definitely. So what has happened, folks? Yes, Judge Jeanine has been suspended for 1 week on Fox News for exposing Omar for who she truly is. And I did a whole show yesterday on Islam, and there's no question about it. Islam is on display. Digital technology and the internet allows us in real time to show you what Muslims do in everyday life, where cops are beating people on the streets, holding one leg and breaking the leg with a stick, or the enslavement of women, forcing them to cover their entire body. And do not tell me for 1 second, Linda Sauer, that women love wearing the hijab and the dress, and it's a very proud moment to cover your entire body from head to toe. Don't tell me that for 1 second, because I know women who love to dress up in a very beautiful outfit.
Interesting.
Makeup, get all dolled up for their husband.
Okay.
Whether it be on the beach, a very beautiful, nice two-piece bathing suit, or going out to a ball where you have a nice gown.
I'm trying to figure out where you're going with this, but it almost sounds like you want to say that there are women who want one thing and want some other women that want another thing. But in Islam, it would be prohibited.
No choice.
Right, where you would have to wear that if you're following the Quran and the Islamic doctrine to the letter. Now, there's some Muslims out there that say, I don't cover up my head, and I have a choice to do so, and nobody's going to say anything to me about it. But there will be Muslims who will say, oh, well, that's fine and all good, but you're going against the Quran.
Right, right,
and
absolutely.
So that's the kind of oppression we're talking about.
And human nature, what human nature is, I can see in my wife's eyes as I compliment her on how she's dressed up to go out for a dinner date and how beautiful she looks and how I'm just excited to be able to go out and spend time with her. The look on her face of joy and excitement and happiness, I couldn't see that if she was covered up by the hijab.
There's that, and also, there's a lot of women out there, and I don't have a problem with this. Maybe it's a cultural thing. There might be other cultures that might scoff at this, but there's women out there that like to be noticed by a man that they desire.
Absolutely. So, everybody wants to be significant. And that's something that a lot of motivational speakers talk about, is that you have to find your significance in this world. And finding your significance does bring you joy and happiness to a point. But having the person that you love and want to spend your life with, your life partner, to have them look at you and tell you how beautiful you are, how good looking you are, that's incredible. It's emotional. You have that bond, that tie. And if you're dressed up in a hijab, I wouldn't know if you are my wife or her sister.
Right. And here's the problem that Judge Jeanine brought up, is that if we have a congresswoman who adheres to the Quran so tightly, that she's a lawmaker at this point.
Right.
She is a federal lawmaker. Will she support or vote in favor of unconstitutional laws? And let me just, I broke this. I said, suspended 1 week, Fox News caves to the lies of their competitors and various activists within their own ranks. Let me explain what that means. So Judge Jeanine won't air this week amid controversy over comments regarding Representative Ilhan Omar. So what does that mean? That their competitors, the Fox News competitors, lied about them, lied about Judge Jeanine, and then there's various activists within their own ranks. So there are some producers, and I learned this. Some people listening right now, you hear producer and you think Hollywood. Producer in Hollywood is high up. It's like overseeing a whole project.
Right.
When a producer comes, you would know more about this since you were actually a little bit involved in Hollywood as far as casting and all this kind of stuff. But the producers like military rank wise would be pretty much up there.
Now, if you are an executive producer, you just may be a famous person that's being paid to have your name attached to the film.
But you would be so important.
Yes.
That you may not actually even walk into the studio during the entire production of this thing. But you're very important. You're very important.
Yes.
But in the case of it could be radio, or it could be podcasting, or it could be working at Fox News types of things. A producer, when it comes to news, is like entry level. You're usually about 20, 21, 22 years old. You might even be an intern, a co-op, but you have an important role. Don't get me wrong. You're not just somebody that's going to get coffee. You definitely get coffee. Right. But what you do is you scour the world to try to put together the news in a way that could be presented in a show. Right. That's what a producer is.
And if you're mainstream media, you go right to the New York Slimes.
Right. There are producers who just read the New York Slimes.
That's all.
There are producers who might just scour Twitter. They might do all the above, but they come up with the topics for the real talent, the person like Judge Jeanine, who would then present it. So one of these producers was like, "Oh, Judge Jeanine, I can't believe you're saying such racist things and all this kind of stuff."
She went off script.
Yeah, and so these producers, and by the way, the producer that we're talking about is a Muslim and did not like that. So that's what I mean by activists within their own ranks. And then you got your competitors. So CNN and Washington Post and everybody is saying about Judge Jeanine that she had suggested that people who wear the hijab are unconstitutional. Suggested that. That's not what happened at all. So it just so happens that I have the exact transcript of what Judge Jeanine said. And you tell me if this is a suggestion or merely a question. So here's what she said. She is not getting this anti-Israel sentiment doctrine from the Democrat Party. So if it's not rooted in the party, where is she getting it from? Think about it. Omar wears a hijab, which according to the Quran 33:59 tells women to cover so that they won't get molested. Is her adherence to this Islamic doctrine indicative of her adherence to Sharia law, which in itself is antithetical to the United States Constitution?
Question mark.
It was a question. She was asking, the whole point of her wearing a hijab was just to point out that she is adhering to the Quran.
Correct.
All right. So that's the one fact. There's two facts that she puts in the premise of her question. Fact number one, that if you wear a hijab, that suggests that you adhere closely and tightly with the Quran.
Yes.
Fact number two, and this is something that nobody's getting. I had to point this out. I'm sorry. If somebody else got this listening at home, congratulations. But nobody in the news is getting this. And that's her second premise. Her second premise is that Sharia law is antithetical to the United States Constitution. Nobody criticized her for that.
Well, but you can't, because that's fact.
But if they were going to criticize Judge Jeanine for saying bad things about Islam, it would be correct to try to attack her on that, because that's a fact that she put in the premise of her question. But that's not what it's like they're admitting that it's true.
By omission.
Yes, by not attacking her on that, they're admitting that Sharia law is antithetical to the United States Constitution. So if we can all agree on that fact and that premise, then you need to answer the question. Is her adherence to the Quran indicative of her adherence to Sharia law?
And if you can make that connection, then yes.
Well, she just asked the question.
Yeah.
It's up to us to answer it. But here's where the lie comes in. They didn't say she just merely asked a question, which is what she did. They're saying that she suggested that if you're a Muslim, that you're anti-American, that you're un-American. And obviously, if you say stuff like that, and I know that there's people out there, maybe even Brian here, not to throw you under the bus. But
I might have said it yesterday.
Right. So there are people who make the case. And that's fine. Make the case. We're here to have an open discussion, open debate. If you want to say, no, that is not true. Brian, you're out of your mind. Sharia law or I should say being a Muslim does not make one un-American or anti-American or anti-Constitution. But is anybody here willing to make the case that if you do adhere to Sharia law and you do want to push it, are you not against the Constitution?
Well, I would have to say that there have been rulings already coming out of Dearborn, Michigan, to where judges have ruled that you cannot introduce Sharia law into a court of law in the United States of America.
And they don't even need that, because if you adhere to the United States Constitution, there's a lot of Sharia law that right on its face, as soon as it's passed into law, is automatically unconstitutional right off the bat. So you don't even need an additional law. That's almost like redundancy, right?
Right.
Because if forcing women to wear a hijab under the idea that not doing it will mean that men have the freedom to just go ahead and molest you. I mean, we're breaking so many laws at this point. The idea that you would violate somebody's First Amendment of not wearing a hijab, presenting themselves however they want, expressing themselves however they want, you just don't need it.
Right. And it's like the Democrats trying to pass a law saying that third trimester abortion is okay. And if the baby is actually born, well, if it's born and it's deemed not viable, we can go ahead and kill it too. That's a violation of that human being's right.
Right.
You're taking its life. You passing a law saying that it's okay to take life doesn't make it legitimate, doesn't make it right. It's still against the Constitution.
Right. Absolutely. Certainly the preamble.
Right.
Of the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So anyway, there's that. So that's the whole story on Judge Jeanine and Fox News. Fox News decided to throw her under the bus. I don't know why they didn't just say, let's look at what she said. Let's read her transcript and see if what she's saying is legitimate commentary, legitimate questions. I've never heard of somebody getting punished for asking a question. I mean, it's a question. Whatever the question should be. Should we have the right to kill babies? That's just a question. Who knows what the answer is? Am I suggesting the answer? I don't think she is. I mean, maybe she is, but it seems like she has the answer already in her head, but that's not the point. The point is she asked the question. Maybe people scream at their TV screen, no. The answer is no, or yes, whatever it might be. But to sit there and say that she suggested it was fake news.
Right. No, absolutely, 100%. And this at MERIKAN Girl07. Sorry, Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson. I'm never tuning on Fox News again. Hashtag Donna Brazier is a crook. I refuse to watch anything coming out of this network. And yes, folks, that's the breaking news. Donna Brazier is now going to guest host for Judge Jeanine's show.
Now, she used to be the chairwoman of the DNC, and I will give her a little credit. I'm going to have to paraphrase her a little bit here, but I'm going to wait and see, because she threw Hillary Clinton under the bus hardcore with some of the stuff that she divulged about her.
Right.
So
she also was the one that gave Hillary Clinton the questions before
the
debate.
That.
Yeah,
she admitted, and that's shocking, because your average Democrat operative these days are going to deny that until they're dead.
Yeah.
But Brazier was like, Brazil, isn't it Brazil? See, even Brian's got me all messed up here. So our fans like to make fun of us for calling her Brazier. I've never called her Brazier, and now I'm starting to get doing that. So not good. But anyway. Unbelievable. Brazil. But so, yeah, her being hired by Fox News is kind of interesting. We have Juan Williams and we have Geraldo Rivera, all these people, hardcore liberals. Now, the one thing I'll give Geraldo.
Yes, Geraldo, you've got to give him credit where credit is due.
Geraldo is obviously guided by a leftist ideology, but he's honest. The guy's an honest human being. When you have a policy debate with him, left versus right, he will argue for the left in good faith. He'll make honest assessments, and he just says, look, I just believe the world would be a better place if we adhere to this leftist indoctrination.
Well, some of it, and if it's too right, and if it's too far leftist, then he won't go with it. And then here lately, Donald Trump has been retweeting Geraldo Rivera because he is screaming from the rooftops, Russia, Russia, Russia is a hoax. It's a witch hunt.
Yeah.
Never in the history, 240 some years, America's been around. Never in our history has a president been harassed by an entire party, even his own party, and now by the media on a daily. It is a daily barrage of attacks on Donald Trump.
And it's been that way for years. And they're unfounded. That's the thing. If you want to attack him for things like we were attacking Obama regularly, and we had substance to attack him on, and maybe they think that they have substance to attack Trump on, but not a witch hunt. If you're going to attack him on a witch hunt, that's obviously not in good faith, and that's where Geraldo comes in. Now, Juan Williams is different. He's always arguing in bad faith. Always, which is why people like my father can't even watch. He immediately turns off Fox News as soon as Juan Williams starts talking. And I don't blame him. And I know that there's a lot of people that listen to us that do the exact same thing. They're like, I just can't listen to it. I like to find – I make it a game. I find where he's being dishonest. And it's not – he's not being ignorant because it's nonstop. It's one thing if you get something really wrong and you're just like, wow, Juan, didn't you know? I mean, you should probably look that up. But when it's every time he opens his mouth, he puts together a paragraph and it's centered around a giant falsehood every single time. It's like, you know, he's doing this in bad faith. Right. So that's him. Donna, I tend to think, is going to lean a little bit more towards the Geraldo Rivera side. And I'm only basing that on the fact that she had a come to Jesus moment when it came to having to admit that she gave all of the questions in advance of the upcoming
and if she wants to sell to right, and if she wants to sell herself in a sense of keeping the job, getting a promotion, doing a better part of the job, if she leans more to the middle, then Fox News will see that she may be worthy on keeping her position.
Are you saying that with the idea that Fox News wants to stay to the right?
No. Because if she is perceived to be in the middle, she may be able to gaslight some independents.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's possible. I tend to think that we lost Fox News.
Yeah, it's gone.
And that they want people to go more left. Maybe not as far left as MSNBC and CNN and Washington Post.
CNN has gone full, all-out propagandist, all-out lies,
gaslighting, projection, the whole gambit. They've pulled all the Alinsky tactics, and they're just nonstop with it. And they are
unabashed,
getting their talking points from the DNC, and that's just the way it is.
Right.
So that's what you have to watch out for. We'll see what happens coming up with Fox News. If you decide to tune out forever, congratulations, you are a person of principle. We're the watchdogs. We have to watch out for this stuff. We have to tune in order to find out where they're lying to people, because there's people who don't even know. There's so many people out there. And when you find if we find something that we can report to you that they are using as propaganda, and you have a friend on Facebook that's spewing that stuff, you have to know where it comes from. So you could say, whoa, Carrie from Smith Radio or from Smith TV has set the record straight. Listen to them and you'll get it right. So.
Okay.
Russia.
When I feel like I'm out, They just keep pulling me back in.
So what Brian's talking about here is we were the lead on Russia, Russia, Russia. If you went back, we may have even coined Russia, Russia, Russia.
Well, our show was Russia, Russia, Russia,
Yes.
and I know we were the first ones to pull up that the Marsha Brady. Marsha.
I challenge anybody to find anybody on earth who used the phrase Russia, Russia, Russia as a tribute to the Brady Bunch.
Marsha.
Well, yeah, and not only that, but use Russia, Russia, Russia prior to December 2016. Yeah, December 11th, 2016.
Yep. December 11th, 2016 is when we came out with the full debunking of the Russiagate. Now, you got to keep in mind, there's been mountains of details that have come out since then. However,
the case still holds true.
Yes, our debunking of it was universal. It destroys the premise of Russia somehow being colluded with by the Trump campaign and then influencing the election in general. That way, it still stands up. So what happened is after we thoroughly debunked it, we referred back to our debunking every time it got brought up again. And then it just became this daily thing. Daily. And so Brian and I are pretty sick and tired of having to bring that up.
I'm done, and I know Dan Bongino, like that's the staple of his show, and I don't know how he doesn't get sick and tired of talking about the same thing over and over. Fusion GPS, Christopher Steele, Glenn Simpson.
If he just listened to our December 2016 episode, Russia, 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 he could just draw on that and move on.
Right.
Just move on.
So just a small little quick recap, folks. I made a little
diagram.
My whiteboard diagram.
Oh my gosh.
This is the full and complete. Going all the way back to, and I'm going to make it real quick, all the way back to 2007, 2008, Hillary versus Obama. Obama uses Fusion GPS, and this is when Glenn Simpson writes the original Russiagate. In 2012, Barack Obama also used Fusion GPS against Mitt Romney. Barack Obama caught on a hot mic, let Vladimir Putin give me some breathing room. Then we got Obama versus McCain during the 2012. McCain actually had campaign chief named Davis and Manafort. Davis and Manafort had an LLC together and were doing things with Russia, and there was a connection with Russia. FBI went to McCain, told him to drop Davis and stay away from Manafort because of Russia ties. That's the Bush administration FBI told McCain.
Well, real quick, just to tie that together and sew up all the loose ends, the reason we got Manafort is because the Republican Party suggested it to Trump, which was clearly a trap.
Oh, absolutely a trap because the FBI knew Manafort had Russian ties.
Yes. So this was a very sophisticated operation.
Right. And the ties with the Preska, who's the Russian oligarch. Davis set the meetings in Davos, and McCain fired Davis. And Davis, insiders say, people inside the McCain campaign say that he literally physically cried to come back, and McCain brought him back, and staffers quit. They were hemorrhaging money. They weren't raising any money, and staffers quit, and then they tell all about it. All the way to Hillary Clinton as she was Secretary of State. She continued Russian collusion, Uranium One, Benghazi, Libya, Syria, and the Russian restart
button. It was like the Staples button. Yeah.
For Russian reset.
Yeah.
2015, 2016, Trump versus Hillary. Trump hires Perkins Coie, the lawyer Sussman, who then hires Fusion GPS Glenn Simpson. Glenn Simpson then talks with Bruce Orr, who's in the FBI. Glenn Simpson also talks with Christopher Steele. Christopher Steele and Bruce Orr have known each other for a while, reconnect their relationship as well. Christopher Steele was a former MI6 and was also being paid by the FBI at one point in time. The FBI found that he leaked, and then once they found that out, they fired him. Then the FBI then tapped Bruce Orr to go back and still reconnect with Christopher Steele after he'd been fired. Trump has to fight the deep state, had to fire Sally Yates. John Brennan had to get rid of him because Brennan, the head of the CIA, actually was, now we're finding out, the initial Russiagate starter. Comey had to be getting rid of because Comey was working with Bruce Orr and James Baker, who was the DOJ legal counsel. And James Baker, as we've seen now in his testimony, has stated he believed that they should charge Hillary Clinton in the email scandal and had to be thoroughly convinced by everybody to drop it and let it go. Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, we've got that all out there. There's nothing that you don't know about what they were talking about. The insurance policy, the willingness to overthrow a duly elected president once he was elected president. And then you got Rod Rosenstein willing to wear a wire and invoke the 25th Amendment. All of this that Trump has had to fight. He also had to fight the British intel Five Eyes, who was spying on George Papadopoulos and Carter Page in the attempt to find something. Even Carter Page was the original guy that they were spying on with the FISA warrant, had to trick the judges to actually sign off on the warrant. Out of 10,000 FISA applications, 5 have been rejected, and 3 of them were Obama administration attempts. Rod Rosenstein signing off on renewal of the 3rd FISA warrant. And the unsung hero in all of this is Admiral Mike Rogers of the NSA, who saw that people were tapping into the database and spying on people with the likes that he'd never seen before. And remember, Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie Orr, worked at Fusion GPS. He claims under testimony that he didn't know that she was there and didn't work with her.
What?
Which is a lie.
Of course.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
So now we find out that Nellie Orr obtained her ham radio operator's license, we believe, in order to communicate outside of FBI, NSA, CIA, so that they could continue this if Trump had found out information. We also believe that because she is a Russian expert, that Bruce Orr and the FBI brought her into the NSA to be, as an outside contractor, to look through all this database on American spying on American citizens. All of this is beyond reprehensible. All of this is beyond illegal. That's pretty much all I can say about that. I'm done with the rest.
It's just a total, complete, corrupt banana republic operation in order to retain power and circumvent our system of selecting our leaders through a democratic process.
Oh, Elizabeth Warren, CNN Town Hall.
Yeah.
We must abolish the Electoral College.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, but and most of you guys listening at home know why we oppose this, why we should oppose this, and why our founding fathers put that in there to begin with. They knew based on, or at least they suspect, they had to make a lot of guesses.
Right.
But they were educated guesses based on their own knowledge of history that they felt like democracies fail. I think some of them had pointed out that democracy is 2 wolves and a sheep voting on what to eat for dinner.
Yes.
so there's obviously a problem with democracies.
But why is Elizabeth Warren saying this when we know here, we know in the conservative movement, and for those of you who have studied American history and you know exactly why it's set up as a fair system to give some of the states that don't have a lot of people, to actually give them a voice so they can have skin in the game. If you look at the map of Donald Trump's win 2016, look at the map. It's all red. It's all Trump except just a few states. And that alone made it so close, which is so dangerous because they can overthrow any election they want if there's no electoral college. So why is Elizabeth Warren saying this? Because it doesn't take a very smart individual to understand why we have it. Why is she saying it? She's saying it to gaslight her followers, to gaslight the Democrat voters in the hopes that they can gain enough voters to actually overthrow
she wants California to have more power than it already does.
And New York.
They do have a giant, huge group of electoral college voters because based on their census population. Same thing with New York. Any state that has 1 or more really large mega cities. So you have New York State is so powerful because they have New York City. And then you have California is extremely powerful because they have like 3 major giant metropolises there. And Texas is pretty powerful, which is why there's so much intense focus on turning it blue.
Right.
Because they have Houston and Dallas and San Antonio, and it is a big state overall anyway. So they have a good amount of electoral college votes. But by eliminating the electoral college, you no longer need to go to places like Michigan and Wisconsin and all these kind of places. Ohio, they don't need to go to those places. They can just go to California. They basically stay on the coast.
Right. And so now we have all this coming out with all the details in the Russiagate, the SpyGate. We also have information coming out that Beto O'Rourke was able to raise $6 million. Some people are speculating, hey, Hillary Clinton, when you were Secretary of State, where did those hundreds of millions of dollars disappear to that were unaccounted for? What about the billions of dollars that were supposedly sent overseas to Iran or other countries or whatnot, fleecing America to pay for your future elections to come? I can see that because, as we know by records, the DNC was heavily in debt, didn't pay contractors to the tune of tens of millions of dollars after Barack Obama.
So irresponsible.
And so Hillary Clinton promised to take care of the DNC if you just let me have control. So she had total control over the DNC. Okay. What does all this mean? Breaking news today, Washington Times gets a hold of documents that have been sued for to be released, and they've just now been released. Oh, and I tweeted this out, and this is what I said on it. I said, this is so wrong. At Real Donald Trump, shut this down. Robert #Mueller investigated Michael Cohen for money laundering, foreign lobbying violations, never charged, only used it to get Trump lawyer. So illegal. Violations of the 6th Amendment.
Yeah.
And then the link to the Washington Times. What are we talking about here? Well, we're talking about Michael Cohen. And when you say being a dirty lawyer, that's kind of redundant.
Oh, it's irregardless. It's irregardless.
I mean, he has so much dirt on him.
Well, okay, let's just look at the fundamentals here. Imagine you're just some regular Joe and you're in some trouble and you need to hire a lawyer. And you know you have the 6th Amendment right to divulge anything to him because you're not going to the attorney-client privilege is going to be respected by all. So I go to the attorney and I say, let's say Brian's my attorney. Brian, man, I murdered that guy. I stabbed him so many times. I can't even remember how many times I stabbed him. I just kept stabbing. I wanted him dead. I know he was innocent. But you know what? I just wanted him dead. So I just kept stabbing until I ran out of breath.
Okay. Well, my question to you is, we could go out one of two ways. You could either plead not guilty and we could fight it, or we could work on a plea deal. You tell me what you want me to do. Now, if we fight it, it's going to cost you more money. Right. If we plea deal, might not cost you as much.
And here's the thing. They may not have the evidence to convict me. Right. So, and then the lawyer would discover that and realize, wow, they just don't have enough evidence to prove beyond a reason, and they get him off. And a lot of people would say, well, Kerry, that's wrong. He really did murder him. He admitted to the justice isn't served if he doesn't get convicted. But it's the way our legal system works. And maybe the person's innocent, but he did some other things wrong. The point is that now for 240 plus years, for the first time in so long, that we live in a free society or a semi-free society, that we now live in a brave new world. This is a major shift. This is something that's going to go down in American history as a turning point, period. And that is that you go to a lawyer and you better be careful what you say to him.
Very careful. So here's what has happened. According to the documents, Mueller and Weissman wanted to go after Cohen, knowing that Cohen was working directly for Trump and attempting to garner a White House position.
Okay. Which, by the way, he lied about to Congress. He was seeking a position in the administration.
And we know that Cohen knows the Clintons, apparently, and it is very possible that somebody knew that Cohen either may have been dirty, could possibly dirty, or even if we could spy on Cohen and look into Cohen's dealings, maybe then we can really find that smoking gun.
Or blackmail him.
Blackmail him, but so first off, attempt to find a smoking gun on Donald Trump in Russia, which there's never was there. Attempt to find a smoking gun of some kind of sorts on Stormy Daniels, which
more
really,
generally anything that's either illegal or embarrassing or whatever.
Right. Oppo research for the Democrat Party.
Exactly.
While they were in there, they asked a judge to spy on Michael Cohen 1 year before they actually raided his house. They subsequently went back to the judge and asked the judge, can we look into his iCloud? We want access to his iCloud, emails, all kinds of other stuff. And the judge said, oh, well, certainly.
This judge should be impeached. This judge is an evil person that should never be in charge of anything in a free society.
Based on possible laundering of money and not registering as a foreign agent, they went back to the judge thrice and said, Your Honor, we'd like to go back Michael Cohen's emails, Gmail accounts, his iCloud. We want to go back all the way back to 2015, months before Donald Trump even announced he was running for president of the United States. And the judge said, oh, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Sweetly.
Go ahead. And folks, I'm being tongue-in-cheek with this, and I'm kind of joking about it because I am through the roof with anger that the curtain is being pulled back. And I'm thinking the rabbit hole, there's a bottom to it. There's no bottom to this.
And even if he wasn't a lawyer, he certainly had his Fourth Amendment rights shredded.
Right.
So Cohen himself had his Fourth Amendment rights shredded, but it was Donald Trump being the customer,
the client
of Cohen that got his Sixth Amendment. So this isn't Cohen's Sixth Amendment. This is our president's Sixth Amendment has been thoroughly shredded on this deal. He should not have had Michael Cohen, his lawyer. He should not have had his lawyer spied upon to get information about Trump. This wasn't about Cohen.
No.
This was about Trump. You should not. The Sixth Amendment prevents the government from going after your lawyer and spying on your lawyer, breaking his Fourth Amendment rights in order to break your Sixth Amendment rights.
So what had transpired, they didn't find anything on Trump, but what they did find, taxi medallions. You're like, what? I remember hearing about that.
Okay.
Right, folks. Taxi medallions, New York, Chicago. It's a big thing. The license where you buy these, you can buy them in massive quantities and then resell them or whatnot.
So I guess the point is that there were too many taxis in New York. So in order to limit the number of total taxis in the city, you had to have a medallion in order to be a taxi.
And the price of them was almost at $1.6 million.
So they buy and sell them on the free market so they could go up and down.
Right.
Okay.
And now because of Lyft and Hire and some of the other non-union new inventions.
They don't require a medallion, I guess?
I don't believe so because the medallions have dropped the price almost to $160,000.
Okay.
So we've got that. But anyway, so Michael Cohen, along with his wife, inflated his taxi medallions, and she co-signed on a loan based on the inflated medallions, $20 million. Now, as this is starting to come out, we've got Lynne Patton, who is a longtime Trump family supporter, works for the Trump family, is working with Trump right now. She's a black woman. She's very strong. She doesn't buckle. And she took to Facebook right after the whole Cohen debacle, everything, this most recent one, where he called Donald Trump a racist, a liar, a hate monger, a bigot, everything that you could possibly imagine, that he's the dirtiest POS in the world. Why did Cohen do this? She took to Facebook and laid her story out. And as she laid her story out, you could hear in her words how crushed she was that Michael Cohen did what he did. And Omarosa did what she did. And she said back in January that Michael Cohen, I personally know. Here, let me just read what she said. Let me read her words, and this will give you the gist. This is actually posted earlier this month, March 1st, on Conservative Treehouse. This is from Lynne Patton and from her Facebook account. She says, Michael Cohen turned on president because Mueller threatened to throw his wife in jail for up to 30 years. She said on her Facebook post, many of you may already know that I consider Michael Cohen to be one of my very best friends. Countless people confirm that we were virtually inseparable during my employment at Trump, and he is single-handedly responsible for introducing me to Trump family and effectively changing my life. I would be lying if I didn't admit that my heart still breaks for him and his family, with whom I've grown extremely close. What many of you may not be aware of is the fact that I can personally confirm that the only reason Michael Cohen turned on President of the United States is because Mueller threatened to throw his wife in jail for up to 30 years, period. She is the co-guarantor of a $20 million personal loan that Mueller discovered Michael secured back in 2015 by falsely inflating the value of his taxi medallions, effectively making her part and parcel of the federal charge of making false statements to a financial institution. Now, I'm speculating that Mueller went to Cohen and said, we could go one of two ways with this.
Let's go one of two ways.
We still want Trump. We don't want you. The money laundering, the non-registration. I mean, you saw what we did to Manafort. He's up the river 7.5 years, man. We can make this. You don't want
to go that route.
Yeah, we can make this lighter on you and only get a couple of years and plead guilty to some bogus, well, not bogus, but plead guilty to some really frivolous things.
Here's the thing. If his wife is guilty of something, she's got to go through the system and get punished, or, she's got to see justice. For them to leverage this and offer her some sort of a sweetheart deal in order to coerce Cohen to do things that he shouldn't be doing to Donald Trump is just beyond ridiculous. Could you imagine hiring a lawyer who you're trying to fight for your freedom or whatever on charges that whatever, you're guilty or innocent, it doesn't matter. You hire a lawyer, you have Sixth Amendment privileges of confidentiality between you and your lawyer, and all of a sudden you find out after it's too late that your lawyer's wife did something so illegal and was facing so many years in prison that the government who's coming after you was able to coerce your lawyer into obliterating your Sixth Amendment rights in order to get you in trouble.
And destroy his entire life. Folks, I think that is so much dirt on Cohen that he was facing decades in prison.
Possibly, but why should that affect his clients? And why, this is the real question, why should your government of the people, by the people, for the people, be doing this to a lawyer in order to get to one of the citizens?
Right. No,
that is highly. Do you realize this? What I just said right there is exactly what a Supreme Court or a high-level court judge would say right to the face of the defendants in a trial where a citizen like myself or like Trump or whoever else would sue the government for doing this very thing. A judge would go off on those people.
Right, absolutely. And so Mueller hands this case off to New York district judge courts, the ones that are hand in hand with Mueller. So So Cohen gets charged, he gets sentenced, and then they delay his sentencing 2 times so that he could then come back for Mueller's enjoyment, I guess, to come back in front of Congress to testify. The guy's going to prison.
Right.
And so they bring him in front of Congress to testify with the attempt to shed so much dirt on Trump.
They just want to make clips for the ads in 2020. They're going to use the clips of Cohen's testimony in attack ads in 2020. There's no doubt about it.
So Cohen pleaded guilty to 8 federal charges. The counts include tax evasion, bank fraud, lying to Congress, and making illegal campaign contributions. He was not charged with money laundering. So Michael Cohen pleaded guilty last year to 8 federal charges. The counts include tax evasion, bank fraud, lying to Congress, and making illegal campaign contributions. Not money laundering, and not failing to register, not anything else. That they initially started spying on Cohen a year before they raided his house and went back 3 times and asked a judge 3 different times to get more and more and more leverage, to get more information from Cohen, to be allowed to go deeper into his past. This is beyond,
Donald Trump needs to sue Obama's deep state and take it all the way to the Supreme Court.
Oh, yes.
That needs to happen. And the thing is he's in this bubble where he's at the top of the elite bubble, right? And I'm not saying that Donald Trump is an elitist. I'm saying that that's where he is. He's physically located in that spot. And it must be difficult for him to understand that we are all, the one thing that we want is for him to drain this swamp in this way, that they came after him. There was a swamp before Donald Trump came, but once he came, they focused all this energy on him. And I don't think he knows how much we want him to attack the swamp based on what they've done to him personally. Not just that they were doing all this other bad stuff like the IRS scandal and all this, because there's people out there that are like, I know Obama should be in prison for abusing the government the way he did.
Right.
But let's not go back in time. Let's move on into the future. However, the same exact people who did Fast and Furious, who did the IRS scandal, who are all still deep state employees right now at the mid, low, maybe even high levels. They're there. They're doing this stuff. They are going after Trump, and they're violating everybody's rights. They're breaking every single federal law you can imagine. These people need to go down. They need to go down hard, and it needs to start with Donald Trump suing the government.
Absolutely, 100%. Folks, all this truth is coming to light. It's all coming out. It's just tick-tock, tick-tock. Little by little, it is coming out. Watch Donald Trump's tweets. Again, I know I blew up on Q yesterday.
Did you?
I did.
Okay.
Q is a complete and utter distraction. Don't need it. It's soap opera for politics.
If you get information that from a guy who claims it came from Q, just eliminate the Q part. I'm not saying you're not allowed to read it and you're not allowed to take it at face value or believe that it's true. Just forget the fact that somebody says that it came from Q and just look at it as potential information that could or could not be true. And yes, go out and do your own due diligence. But this whole idea of a Q, a person, it's just...
Look at it as a tweet from somebody that you don't know. Now, I'm telling you, if you want real news and you want real information and you want to see what Donald Trump has on his agenda, go to his Twitter feed. The videos that he's posting, the clips that he's posting, the information that he's posting, understand, he is posting this to let you know he knows all of this. And he's in the background working a way to bring justice. That's just who he is. You don't need all this other nonsense and getting wrapped up in it, because there are a lot of people that I know now that are really wrapped up in the Q as if it's some kind of sign from God, and it's not. And if you're frustrated and you're upset and the deep state and everything's got you down, hang your hat on Jesus Christ. Pray about it. Pray for peace of mind. Just pray about it. That's what you need to focus on, because God's got this.
Yep. And you got to understand that there's a lot of people out there who are really trying to move the needle and trying to encourage others to get out there and try to move the needle. And they see Q as somebody who's pacifying potential activists by saying, no, hey, I'll let you know what I'm doing. I got it all. I'm handling it. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to keep you informed. You just sit back in your easy chair, put your legs up, and just watch me work my magic. And it's like, wait a minute. You're pacifying everybody. You need to be encouraging people to actually take action. Go out and run for local office like I am. Or
Scott Pressler, go out there and start learning how to sign up voters. Get involved. If you can't physically get involved with folks like us here at Smith.tv, New Right Network Tonight. Get involved financially. This is the movement. This will continue on after Donald Trump's presidency, 2024. We have to lay the groundwork. And Carrie and I here at Smith.tv, we have a game plan. We're in the works with some very powerful individuals to do what needs to be done to take back our government, to take back Congress, and to really, truly keep America great again. That being said, share this with your friends and your families all around social media, everywhere. This show broadcasts simultaneously at about 12 different locations every night, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Crush the share, crush the like, whatever you got to do. Go over to Smith.tv. Grab something, buy something, purchase something, donate, become a Patreon. Much appreciated. And we very much appreciate you guys. We love our fans, and we are just going to continue to bring the best commentary on the news that you will find anywhere. All right, folks. Have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.